If you click on this video, you, like many others, are very curious about the discussion when it comes to the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And what I'm here to tell you is that you see a lot of critics talking about how this movie is lacking of plot, very fast-paced, they don't state any ideas, and that it's not as good as the first movie. I'm here to tell you that they're full of shit. And the reason for that is, the movie has the exact same energy as the first one, it's just more leaning into its bit about being a video game movie. This is a movie from a video game franchise that has plots that move as fast-paced as described. But let's get into it. I'm gonna go by frame, the examples. Let's talk about the beginning of the movies. Both movies open the same way. You have a castle being invaded by either Bowser or Bowser Jr., and with an overarching plan that involves kidnapping a princess. Similar plots as most Mario games are. So 1-to-1, same energy, same portions. And also, we knew for a fact of what this movie will be centered around because one, Super Mario Galaxy Rosalina, it's her whole game, and second of all, Bowser Jr. wants to save his dad, aka the same thing as Super Mario Sunshine. Again, two games, same universe, multiple characters. Let's go to the next point. And again, at this point, let me get your point on. This could be a spoiler-based video because I'm going to be breaking down why people are full of it when it comes to complaining that the movie is too fast. The next part in the movie, we have Mario and Luigi on dirt bikes running through what is a world in Super Mario Odyssey that you can go visit because they're trying to deal with a plumbing issue because they're the plumbing brothers. Go there, find Yoshi, call it a day, and we're moving on to our next plot point. In the first movie, after the sequence when we see Bowser versus Bowser Jr., we now see Mario and Luigi, what they've been up to. They go to a plumbing assignment, only to then go to the next plumbing assignment, which leads them to the warp pipe. I want to reiterate something real quick, because I have rewatched the movie of the original Super Mario Bros. To see exactly how fast this happens. What I just described about both Bowser showing up, Mario and Luigi being shown to be plumbers and their jobs in Brooklyn, New York, and then going to the Super Mario world, which is the Mushroom Kingdom, happens in the first 15 minutes of the movie. Keep in mind, after that point, we then see the separation of Mario and Luigi, where then Luigi ends up going to the haunted area, reminiscent of Luigi's mansion. And then we kind of forget about him for, let's count the minutes, probably like 20 minutes in the movie, because the next 20 minutes are dedicated to Mario finding Peach and understanding what's happening in the Mushroom Kingdom, along with him doing an obstacle course. And then we go to Bowser and his monologues. Another 15 minutes went by before we see Luigi again in real time. I'm going to the movie as I'm talking to you guys right now. And I want to speak. We get to the 41-minute mark within the movie when Luigi runs into Bowser. So it took us about 40 minutes for one of the main characters to run into the antagonist of the movie. And similarly, how in comparison to the Super Mario Galaxy movie, we know who the antagonist is off rip, just like Bowser, but we run into Bowser Jr. meeting Mario and Luigi very early on in comparison to the movie. And then we switch over into the Donkey Kong Country aspect. Though there was a Mario movie, people's complaint about Star Fox being a Super Mario Galaxy movie, like why is he there? It's a Nintendo character from a Nintendo franchise showing up in the Mario movie. Hey look, Star Fox, a Nintendo character showing up in a Nintendo movie from a Nintendo franchise. Whoop-de-freaking-do. Why do we care? Anyway, that Star Fox was cool. Probably the consensus is he's one of the coolest characters in the movie, which I agree with. And I enjoy both the musical aspect of him and the fact that we got a whole starship battle. The only complaint I have about that part is he didn't go hi-ya Firefox. Now, we move on to the 50-minute part, halfway through the movie, and we get to the iconic scene between Mario versus Donkey Kong, a literal callback to what started it all with the original game that was Donkey Kong before Mario was ever created, but the same premise of jumping up and down over a bunch of red beams in order to fight Donkey Kong using power-ups to roll back to the original games now. So, we get that sequence, a whole cameo homage to what started it all, before we go 5 minutes later, in real time, we are now doing Mario Kart. So, we went from the original Mario Bros. Game to Mario Kart in the span of 5 minutes of a movie. I don't hear people complaining about that. I didn't see any of those when the movie first came out. In fact, that Mario Kart section is probably one of the best remembered parts because you got to see Rainbow Road, you got to see the power-ups, the driving, the drifting. One of the most fun Mario games has been Mario Kart. That's why there's like 9 of them. So the point I'm making is it's very hypocritical, if not nonsensical, to complain about the fast-paced nature of Super Mario Galaxy in comparison to original Super Mario Bros. Because again, an hour into this movie now, it's been an hour and 5 minutes. We just now have Peach running into Bowser directly. That means through almost 60% of this movie, you could say that the main antagonist dealing with one of the main characters wasn't a factor in this movie. It was just showcasing the magic, the nostalgia, if you would, when it comes to the Mario franchise and working with that as its base. Because this is a video game movie, the premise of the movie should be to gather the soul of the franchise, make it feel like Super Mario Bros. Even right now, looking at the score, the Rotten Tomato score of Super Mario movie is 59%, while the audience is 95%. It's almost like critics don't understand that the video game movie is about, do gamers enjoy the references and feel like though it is a faithful adaptation to the IP. This is a growing issue when it comes to video game movies, and something I'm going to see a lot of probably in the new Resident Evil movie, where the director said himself, this is not going to be a faithful adaptation. We saw the abomination that was the Borderlands movie. Hollywood needs to understand, and I would say mostly Hollywood critics, video games are fun and enjoyable either for their story or for their characters. The story of the Mario franchise is not an overarching plot. Every game is individual, centralized story. If you want to make a movie about the franchise and you want to encapsulate all aspects of it, then you're going to have a jumbled up mess, because the plot of the games collectively put together would be a jumbled up mess because they're all individualized stories. And their recurring themes are the idea of heroism, overcoming great odds, power-ups, great music. That's what makes Mario iconic. That's why we love it. Same with Sonic. Sonic was able to be a successful trilogy of video game-based movies because they have the soul of what Sonic is. They did not have a one-to-one relation to the stories in all the Sonic games. Sonic 1, you had Dr. Eggman and Sonic going at each other. Sonic 2, you had Tails and Knuckles showing the cast, similar situation, and then Shadow showed up in Sonic 3. That was the combination of the greatness that is the Sonic franchise, and seeing both Sonic and Shadow, Chaos Control, Super Sonic, seeing all these parts of the game in film, and seeing the realization, both making sure the characters stayed to themselves, that they weren't like changed up, all their personalities remain intact. That's why we enjoy those movies. And critics need to understand that video game movies don't need to have this amazing overarching story when you have to look at the games they're coming from. Sonic and Mario are always going to be more lighthearted and not as serious because by nature they're games designed for when we were growing up as kids. And to me, this is what probably pisses me off most about this, is I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. And was I ever lost? No, because I'm a gamer. If you can't handle side-scrolling action, back and forth and jumping around, clearly you're not built for this life. And also, the whole sequence, which, big spoiler right here, when Bowser Jr. was trying to kill Peach and Mario, and was literally doing a video game rendition of like Bowser's Castle, as they were both doing the 2D version that we see from games to the 64 era, NES era, versus now them actively animated doing all things 3D wise. It was one of the coolest sequences next to the final battle where we out here really doing Smash Bros moves and they freaking had Game & Watch show up. Like, that's what was all fantastic about this movie if you're a real Nintendo fan. And the best part is this movie's gonna make $1 billion regardless, because the real Nintendo fans are gonna go see it and they're gonna enjoy it. And more likely than not, they were fans of the IP originally. And that's the thing about video game movies. Make them for the people who play the games. They will come and see it. They just want to be believed that they will actually get a good representation of their IP. Because what makes a video game great is not always known to the masses, because not everyone plays video games, even in today's society, with video games being the most popular and a huge industry. We've had our backs and forth when it comes to the Gamergate, DEI, whatever you want to say has marred video game society as a whole in the last decade. The gaming media as itself still has people who have never truly understood what makes games so much fun, makes these characters so endearing. And they're not going to get that by some Hollywoodified version of the story. Just give us what this movie gave us. good quality callbacks, a great adventure tale within the realms of that framework, or in the realms of that franchise. I don't need Martin Scorsese in a Mario movie or a Sonic movie. And I condemn the director of the Resident Evil movie for straight up saying, I don't care about the source material. Then why the fuck are you making that movie? GG's, guys.
Stop what you're doing and